families of those 8 souls that were lost today in the accident on Edwards Air Force Base. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Roll call. Vice Chair Derryberry,
I'm here.
Commissioner Burke,
Present.
Commissioner Carrillo,
Present.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Present.
Commissioner Latanzi,
Present.
Commissioner Underwood, absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Public business from the floor. Any person who would like to address the Planning Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given the opportunity to address our Planning Commission at such time the item is discussed before the Planning Commission. Speaker cards are at the rear of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Individual comments, again, are limited to 3 minutes unless a different time is announced. So first up, we have the approval of our minutes from our regular meeting of May 18th, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burke, second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. That one gets sticky sometimes. I used to sit down there too. All right, the motion passes 4 yeses and 1 abstention with 1 absence. Technically, our prior chair Vos is not considered an absent member any longer because he did officially resign, correct? Okay. Now, if it's okay with staff, I'd like to go ahead and switch the public hearing items. I'd like to take number 3 before we do number 2, just in the interest of time for our applicant, James Rasmussen, if that's okay.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Derryberry and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Kendall Brecky, Planning Manager. I'm presenting this project on behalf of the case planner, Shannon Edwin. The item before you today is tentative tract map 25008 for a condominium subdivision. I'll start with some background on the site and the project. The existing multifamily development is located at 43726 8th Street East, just south of Avenue J12. The site is zoned medium density residential, or MDR. The site consists of an existing 16-unit townhome development that was originally approved in 2007, known as Quail Crossing. Since construction, the development has operated as a rental community. In 2025, the existing detached recreation room was legally converted to an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU. The subject property is surrounded by other multifamily residential developments and vacant land, and the applicant for this project is the property owner, James Rasmussen. Here we have a closer look at the site and the layout of the 16 units and ADU. The applicant has requested review and approval of a tentative tract map for a condominium subdivision. This would allow for the individual sale of each existing townhouse unit, converting the development from a rental community to a 4-ownership community. Essentially, this means that these units would be available to purchase. The conversion also includes plans for a homeowners association, which is also a condition of approval for the project per condition number 37. This association would ensure the long-term upkeep and maintenance of the site overall. The site also includes existing amenities that would remain, including a playground, picnic tables, and a barbecue. These amenities would continue to be maintained by the HOA. The existing ADU, shown in the middle of the development on screen, is proposed to be tied to a future sale or ownership of Unit 5, which is adjacent to the ADU, indicated with an arrow. I want to emphasize that the project includes no new construction or expansion of the existing development. The subdivision would simply allow for the existing units to be sold individually. Getting into the public noticing, I want to highlight that as part of the requirements for a condominium subdivision, the applicant was required to notice all current tenants prior to submitting the applications for the subdivision. This notice outlined the owner's intent to convert units from rental to for ownership and the anticipated timelines. Tenants were also informed in this letter that they would be given a minimum of a 180-day notice before they would be required to vacate a unit due to a sale. Also, tenants would be given first right of refusal to purchase their current unit before they would be made available for sale to the public, which was also outlined in this notice. For today's public hearing, the public hearing notices were mailed to all owners and occupants within a 500-foot radius and posted on the subject property in compliance with the LMC. One public comment was received, which is included in your packets. In conclusion, staff recommend that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 26007, approving tentative track map 25008, map 84777, as well as authorizing staff to execute and file an NOE. This concludes staff's presentation. Myself and the applicant team are available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We might have some questions. Does anybody have any questions for staff? No? What about the applicant? The applicant's welcome to come tell us about your project and give us your thoughts before we proceed to our public comment.
And I don't know that she'll ever move. I think that she'll, you know, I'll just leave her. We'll keep renting that unit until, you know, she moves to a convalescent home or something, you know, is kind of my plan. So other than that, it's been a wonderful experience in, you know, building it in Lancaster and renting it in Lancaster. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Wonderful, thank you. I actually have a few questions. And so if I understand you correctly, your plan is to remain, obviously, you're going to remain the owner and rent the units out until you're ready to sell them. You've given the tenants, pursuant to your proposal, you're going to give them a 180-day notice before you intend to sell the unit.
Yes.
So obviously, for those that don't know, that's a lot longer than what's required by law, depending on the status of an individual's lease. So I find that to be a nice option. Now, with respect to one of the questions we heard earlier from somebody on the dais is, are these units already individually metered for utility service, or?
They are individually, they're built more like a townhome than they are even a condo, in the sense that the upstairs, downstairs, they own that whole thing. No one's above them. And then they all have two-car garages, with the exception of the ADU. And it's got a parking spot outside that we've kind of said that's for the ADU. So.
Those were the only comments or questions I had. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Rasmussen?
Yeah, I do. Water is metered separately already?
It is not separately water metered, but that would go in under the HOA as a cost to the HOA. And then later, if they wanted to separate, meter those, they could. Easy enough.
Thank you for showing a lot of concern for the current residents, too. I really appreciate that.
And I do have my civil engineer here if anyone's got any civil engineering questions.
I do have a few questions. How many of the 16 units are currently occupied right now?
Really, 16 and the ADU is currently, everything is rented.
Okay. And how many of the tenants, I know you mentioned some that are going to be staying or departing, but have any mentioned any interest in purchasing their unit?
They haven't
That unit?
actually came to me and told me, but I know of a couple that I think would want to do it. Unit 103 is kind of mentioned when she rented it. She goes, if you ever sell it, I want to buy it. So
Great. And then what is the expected sales price range of the units?
it, at the time, it's just going to be market rate at the time. And I haven't even looked to see what that is yet.
And same thing, I just want to say thank you for the consideration of maybe offering, I heard you say maybe assisting with the purchase for anyone that's interested in giving, substantial amount of time, more than necessary. But I think those were my only questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? Again, thank you for your application.
Thank you.
We did receive one objection letter, I think noted. That was from one of the occupants, Renee Bell. She's in Unit 123, citing her objection to it. But do we have any public comments?
Vice Chair, we do have a speaker card from the aforementioned Dorene Bell. If you would like to approach.
Come on
guys.
down.
Hello. So after hearing what he said, I wasn't, didn't know that he was wanting to keep the tenants in there. But from my letter that I gave you, I can't afford to move. There's no way I can afford to buy. The cost of living to move and everything to anywhere else in the Antelope Valley is higher than what I'm paying right now. So I would just really like that you consider the factors of all the tenants that are living in there, that this is what we can afford at this time, and everything keeps rising. The housing market keeps rising, rent keeps rising, and we're all on a fixed income and can only do what we can do. So I'd like for you to take and consider my letter that I gave you and what I am seeing here right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Any other comments, public comments?
No other comments.
No? Anyone else have anything else to discuss before we close the public session? Any other comments, questions? Okay, without objection, we'll go ahead and close the public session on item number 3 and entertain a vote, or a motion, excuse me.
I approve, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 26-007, approving tentative track map number 25-008-84777, or a condominium subdivision for an existing 16-unit multifamily development located at 43726 8th Street East, assessor parcel number 3140-030-036 in the medium-density residential zone, and authorizing staff to execute and file a notice of exemption. And can we add also in there the petitioner's comments for the 180 days and making the existing arrangements with Ms. Bell as well?
Those are already, I believe, incorporated into the
Perfect.
CP, or into the resolution, excuse me.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's vote. Motion passes 5 yeses with 1 absent. Good luck with your project. Okay, next up, we're going to move back to item number 2. This is the 2026 Zone Text Amendment to Title 17 of the Lancaster Municipal Code. And our presenter today, of course, is our City of Lancaster.
Thank you, Vice Chair Derryberry. Commissioners, the next item before you is Zone Text Amendment number 26002. This project includes typical annual updates and revisions to our zoning code, but is primarily comprised of revisions essential to the MART, M-A-R-T compliance program, which I'll get into shortly. I'll start with some background. City Council adopted a tobacco moratorium late last year following a multi-agency citywide enforcement operation focused on smoke shops. LPD gave a presentation at City Council on October 28th, which outlined the wide variety of dangerous, unlicensed products being sold at smoke shops in our area. The moratorium on tobacco is still in effect and is currently set to expire on October 1st of this year. As a result of the moratorium, staff were asked to evaluate citywide safety concerns and establish new regulations. LPD and leadership identified 4 key business areas of concern: massage, alcohol, recycling, and tobacco, now collectively referred to as MART. These uses have been identified due to a high instance of illegal and unpermitted activity being perpetuated by a portion of the businesses. Initial revisions to Title V, business licenses and regulations, went to City Council in March and are already in effect. These revisions allow the city to require proof of current entitlements at the time of a MART business license renewal. So, between this previous update and the updates before us today, MART businesses that have already been in operation will have to obtain current planning approvals. This is a one-time entitlement review and would not be required annually. This is essentially a snapshot opportunity for oversight and enforcement that was not previously available to us. The current code updates include an amortization requirement for the MART uses. Essentially, compliance would be achieved on a rolling basis as each business's existing business license expires over the next year. At the time of a given business license expiration, the business would be given a 1-year license extension to allow time for compliance. Going into a little more detail on each use, massage requirements remain largely the same, but they have been identified as part of MART. For alcohol, MART requirements are noted to only apply to bars and liquor stores, and thus do not apply to restaurants or grocery stores, for example. Development standards related to recycling uses, including their height limits, setbacks, and aesthetic standards, were expanded and clarified. For tobacco, we clarified the definitions to identify that only stores with more than 8% of floor area dedicated to tobacco would be considered tobacco retail, and we expanded some of the distancing requirements to sensitive uses like houses and daycares. I should note at this time that these new standards would override and replace the tobacco moratorium at the time they go into effect, giving these businesses a new path forward. Here's a quick summary of public outreach done for this initiative. Based on business licensing records, we sent a flyer and a letter to all known MART business owners and locations on May 21st. The flyer and letter explained the new program and pending requirements and advertised an upcoming MART open house. Said open house was also advertised on the city's social media pages and was open to the public in the LPAC lobby during the farmers market on June 4th. You can see some images of that event on the right on the screen. We had approximately 50 attendees, including Commissioners Hernandez and Carrillo. It was great to see you guys. The event was very productive. I think we were able to provide a much clearer expectation for the businesses affected by these changes. We were also able to incorporate a lot of early feedback and identify several ways to streamline the new processes and regulations. Under the code updates before you, all future MART businesses would require either a minor use permit or conditional use permit. We introduced the minor use permit to the code in 2023, but as a refresher, it allows for the businesses to undergo a thorough review by staff and a public notice sent to their neighbors, but it does not require a public hearing for approval. Under the initial wave of MART businesses, we have established a temporary measure by which all MART businesses would be subject to just the minor use permit unless elevated to a conditional use permit by the director. This drastically reduces processing time, applicant cost, and staffing needs. Staff are also pursuing options to reduce the cost of the minor use permit application fee and to streamline processing by hiring consultant support. In addition, extensive community outreach has been done to provide as much information as possible to the affected business owners and the public. MART covers the majority of the code updates currently before you, but zooming out a little, this is all happening as part of the normal cleanups and updates to our code that we try to bring forward on a regular basis. The non-MART related updates on this year's list are outlined in the staff report and include minor items, mostly clarification in the wording of our floor area ratio definition, removal of certain outdated references to code sections that had already been removed, updating the mailing procedures to better reflect our current policy, and clarifying that sign standards can be amended through a staff level adjustment rather than the more significant variance process. Formal public noticing was completed as well for the hearing. There were no formal public comment letters that were received, but staff has received feedback on the MART aspects of the proposal through the larger noticing and open house, as noted earlier. In conclusion, staff recommend that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2605, recommending approval to the City Council for Zone Text Amendment number 26002 for the 2026 Zone Text Amendment to Title 17 of the LMC. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Brecky. Wonderful as always. Does anybody have any questions for staff before we move to public comment? Anything today? I think if you live in this community, it goes without saying that these 4 particular items that we're looking to address are what really, in some respects, not every business, of course. There's the few that kind of cause the city to have to look into this at this level that unfortunately we have to better police, if we will. You know, if you've spoken to the Lancaster Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, if you just drive around town, you can tell where the problem businesses are, and in some respects, it's these four items. So we can't question why the city is doing this in any way, shape, or form. So I suspect we'll probably have some public comments, but before we move, one last offer. Does anyone have any questions for staff? Nope. Okay. Well, then we'll go and open the floor for public comments.
Vice Chair, there are actually no comment cards for this item.
0.
0.
Wow. I thought for sure we'd have some.
Me too.
Well, we do have a few attendees in the audience. We'll give you guys an opportunity if anyone wants to address the MART program before we proceed to a motion and potentially a vote. I'll give you an opportunity to fill out a speaker card. If you have anything to say, don't feel obligated to do so. Well, hearing nothing, without objection, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this item, and we'll consider a motion if somebody has one.
Yeah, I'll make a motion recommending approval that we adopt resolution number 26-05. Recommending approval to the City Council for Zone Text Amendment number 26-002 for the 2026 Zone Text Amendment to Title 17 of the Lancaster Municipal Code to provide clarification, consistency, and compliance with city policies and best practices.
I'll second.
Okay. Let's vote. Motion passes, 5 yeses with 1 absence. Well, let's see what the City Council does next. Mr. Nguyen, you're up.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Derryberry and members of the Commission. I am Hai Nguyen. I'm the Assistant Director for Community Development. Thank you, Vice Chair, for chairing this meeting. In regards to this MART recommendation, staff has had countless conversations, meetings with members of this body and members of the community. So I just want to say thank you for your attention on this very important project. It didn't seem like it at the moment, but a lot of work has been done to make sure that both the commission and the community are comfortable with this recommendation. And so this item will go to the City Council at the July 14th. There would be presumably 2 readings on that, and we may get more input from the community then. So the next Planning Commission meeting will be on July 20th. We'll have 3 items. One of the items we've been working on for the past couple years, which is a comprehensive update to the TOD plan. That's the Transit Oriented Development Plan, and it's for the area located directly east of the boulevard. Staff has conducted a ton of outreach, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you and to the public leading up to the next meeting. Of course, if you have questions about that project or anything else, staff is available for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, public business from the floor. This is the portion of the agenda that allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding our city's business. Under state legislation, of course, no action can be taken on a non-agenda item. Members of the public should be aware that when addressing the Planning Commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda, please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Speaker cards, again, are at the rear of the council chambers, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any speakers?
Vice Chair, we do not have any speaker cards.
My goodness. Well, I might, no record, but this is a lot shorter of a meeting than I was anticipating. I think it goes without saying, I'll say it again, this MART program, to Mr. Nguyen's comments, the city staff has spent countless hours on this program. I had a client whose daughter lived in the city of Lancaster, and he found her one day unconscious, and around her was about 45 cans of Whippets. I'm not sure if you know what a Whippet is, but it's basically a can of nitrous oxide that's sold at tobacco shop stores that were found in this town. So this young lady would go day after day after day and buy whatever she could from these stores, flavored nitrous oxide cans of Whippets, they're called. And she was really close to not surviving because of that incident. You know, again, this is what the city's trying to stop. You know, as a parent with 3 daughters, teenage girls in some respects, at least for a couple of them, it's scary. You know, I give the keys to the car and let them go out and do something. You know, you got to be careful what they provided the opportunity to go do. So, my hat's off to the city on this. I know it's been a lot of work. I know these are the areas that will provide a trickle-down effect to benefit the city. So again, thank you. With that said, anyone else have any comments from the commission? We are.
I did want to say thank you to, I saw all the entire planning, like all of you guys worked so hard that day, answering a lot of questions. I felt like there was a lot of people there. And I look over and all of you are addressing some concern. So I just want to say I was very amazed, very impressed. I wanted to thank you for the time that you took to also educate me a little bit more in depth on the great work that you guys have been doing and how it's going to benefit the city. So thank you, thank entire the department for all the work you've put on this project. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to Commissioners Carrillo and Hernandez for attending that. The city must have done a great job because no one else showed up to ask us anything, so that works out perfect. So let's keep doing those. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn today's meeting to our regular meeting of July 20th.